So I present to you Caroline Musselwhite.
Great, thanks. Hi, and welcome, people. We're very excited about this one. This is sort of very close to my heart. I really love shared reading. It's super fun, and I wanted to highlight that in the title. It's all about the interaction, and it's about shared reading, not just reading to your children, but reading with your children. And so let's jump in and talk about those outcomes we're hoping for. We're looking at I'll define and describe what shared reading is. I'm going to summarize some ideas for picking the best books for shared reading, and that would include finding books for shared reading for older students as well as for the young ones. Identifying goals of shared reading, sharing some strategies for supporting receptive communication through shared reading, but particularly we're going to really spend the lion's share of time on supporting expressive communication through shared reading. So let's jump in. We are trying to ground this in the 5 steps that Maureen Nevers has described for us. And today we're really going to be talking about teaching tasks on AAC and shared reading strategies. The tools you'll need are great books and your robust AAC sets that we've talked about throughout the series. If you're still struggling to find one, there's a great webinar about finding the best app done by Maureen Nevers, and it's on the Angelman site, so you can find that and go to it. So what is shared reading? It's that interaction that occurs when a child and an adult look at or read a book together. And so you can see that shared reading of the picture at the top is a shared reading activity in a group setting at school, and at the bottom you can see a family shared reading where I'm reading to my grandchildren, and you can see that one of them isn't really paying so much attention, and that's okay. She kind of goes in and out. She's a baby. Why would we do shared reading? It supports language. It's a huge language developer. It helps build background knowledge. This is all from Mari Clay. It teaches children how books work, that whole idea of you start at the front and there's the cover and the author, etc., the title, and that there's a back of the book, and that the text carries most of the meaning, those types of concepts about print, and also how we actually read a book. That meaning is made from print, that reading those words makes meaning that I can share with that child. And it helps our children take on more responsibility in reading across time, that often they'll jump in. If you can remember reading to your children who are talking, and as you're reading of the same book over and over and over, because they insist on reading that book over and over, what you see across time is that your children jump in and want to do more and more of the reading. And so you're saying, brown bear, what do you see? I see a blue horse. And then they yell out, looking at me. So really fun kinds of stuff. And that's the type of thing we would like to get going. So why shared reading? Because we want to give that message that reading is worthwhile and reading is fun. We want all of our students to get that reading is really fun. So it can't just be this teachery mode. We're going to be in interactive, engaging mode. So what books are best for our students? And this is from a book called Month by Month Reading, Writing, and Phonics for Kindergarten. It's from Hall and Cunningham. And I would recommend getting that book if you're a classroom teacher and you want to learn more about doing shared reading in the classroom setting, because I'm really going to be focused on families, on reading at home, and there certainly will be things, if you're a teacher or a therapist, that you'll get out of this. But just know that that book, The Reading, Writing, and Phonics for Kindergarten, has fabulous ideas to support classroom shared reading. So we're looking at a very predictable book with repetitive sentence patterns, with pictures that support those sentence patterns. So when you're reading the page that says, I see a blue horse, guess what you're looking at? Well, you're looking at a horse, and what color is that horse? He's blue. Okay, really supporting that sentence pattern. Not too much text, not just pages and pages of text. We want it to be enjoyable and appealing to the audience. And for some of the students we're working with who are emergent readers, even though they're adults, often because of lost opportunities when they were younger, we need to be sure we've got age-respectful texts and that are a good language match, that isn't such complex language that a huge proportion of the vocabulary this student doesn't know. We want it to be a good language mix. I love this, what Hall and Cunningham said, that we need to take students someplace conceptually, that this is a book that's going to help them think about fun and new things. They can learn a little bit about their world. They can learn new concepts. And we're going to read that book more than once. This is not going to be a one-shot thing. We're going to read that same book multiple times. I don't know if you've heard the research that typically developing children have heard their favorite books 200 to 400 times. And that's how they develop that ownership. So this is not going to be just a one-shot thing. There's a new publication on shared reading that I highly recommend. This is on the modeler approach from Sam Sennett and his colleagues, and you can download a lot of information about that from the universaldesignlab.com, and I will be sharing some information about that as well. So here's a sample predictable book that I've already mentioned for younger students, the Brown Bear book. It has that highly predictable language I talked about. It has the repetition, things like looking at me, but it also has predictability where you change the words. So I see a blue horse, yellow duck, purple cat, etc. That type of thing is going on through that book. It has a powerful rhythm. This is a rhythm that would not be great for older children because it's a very childish rhythm. Brown bear, what do you see? If we're working with older students, we might want to look at books that have more of a rap style rhythm, like pick it up, you know how, recycle, recycle, do it now. So we could have that same rhythm that we know supports memory, but we could use a rhythm that's more age respectful. This book has a little bit of rhyming. Rhyming is good. It's not necessary to have it in all of your books, but it's nice to have in some of your books. This is a nice book because it includes some core words. Looking at me, what do you see? So really high frequency words. And notice that I've given you a link at the bottom of the screen, sharedreadingproject.com bookfinder. Great place to go for finding some websites as well for books that are both websites you can pay for and also some free websites. So let's look at a sample predictable book for older students. That's disgusting. This is highly predictable. It has a repeated line, that's disgusting. And it includes some core words such as that and eat and in. Now, if you're working with adults, you might, or high school kids, you might want to go to Tarhill Reader, and typically we use the E for everybody. No. Now we're going to take that away, and we're going to use the C for caution. We're just going to look for those C for caution books, because that has a little older books that are really kind of fun. You'll notice several here by Read a Book. Read a Book is an author we've mentioned before who does some really fun stuff. And so if there's time at the end, I'm going to show you Wheeling, because you're going to see why that's really great for a little bit older students, and it's not offensive. It's just a caution. These are not R-rated books, okay? They're just a C for caution. They may not be something you're going to read for kindergartners, although when you see it, you might decide you want to. Where else can you find books? Language Lab, AAC Language Lab has fabulous books that are connected to core language or some of the words that we might be teaching, and also related to some language approaches such as asking questions, etc. And there's the information at the bottom. There's the link for you to go to. So here's just some examples of sample books. I Do, I Don't. That's a stage 2 based on typically developing children's language stages. And stage 2 means that we're looking at 2-word sentences and simple negation. And then there's a stage 5 one that looking at, for example, past tense verbs. Where else can we find books? So yesterday, I'm showing you this little icon. This means that I've put it in the file for you at the Facebook group. There's an Angelman Communication Training Series Facebook group, and we're putting things up there. And this is a book that my friend Patty made on She Is, and then so it's a linguistic target of that she wrote specifically for students who are learning. For her, she was doing this for students who are learning to use unity symbols, but obviously you could just take off the unity symbols and use them for students using any kind of communication app or device. And so what it does is go through the Disney princesses. So if anybody out there loves Disney princesses, say, me, my kid. So go ahead and type that in the chat window, so we'll see if this is going to be a good match to any of the people who are watching this webinar. So it has, for example, she is pretty, she is happy, she is sad. And then that's repeated in several times throughout the story because there's lots of sad princesses. But then you get those mean queens. So you have she is mean, and you have different of the Disney queens. So just a really fun book to share with your students. The next one that I want to show you is I would like us to do a crowdsourcing. I'd like you guys to write in some of your favorite books that you love for older students because they're predictable, they're engaging, and they're age respectful. You might even go for that rhythm, that rap style rhythm. So if you guys know of any good books, I'm going to have you type those in the chat window, and at the end we'll summarize those and we'll make a list of those books. We'll start a thread on the Angelman group to talk about really fun books for older students, okay? Remember from the webinar that Erin Sheldon did on books for students, she did this back in October, so you can go look at that from Angelman's site, and it was picking books and finding books that will really engage students. And one of the things she talked about was that a lot of times the favorite book is going to be a personal book. So here's the Me book by TWS. I talked about that last week. But it's very important to think about saving it. So we did this yesterday. I did this with Evelyn. And so she got to decide. I put the word keep and the word lose on a whiteboard. And I pointed to tell me when I came to the page, who likes ice cream? Me. And she chose to keep that page. When we did who likes Play-Doh, I gazed to lose it. So we changed that one out to who likes skiing and had a picture of her because she went skiing last weekend. There's an adapted ski program up in Flagstaff, and so we had a photo of her skiing. So just a really fun way to quickly take that book and just change it up. On the Who Wants to Tickle Me, she again chose that she loved the topic, but she wanted to change the photo to her own personal picture. So she would like to keep the topic but change the picture. Okay, and also this is sort of a fun way to end with a punch. One of the things to think about, this is a very interesting article, webinar on self-directed learning modules from the dynamic learning maps, and so I've given you the link there. And this shared reading is particularly for teachers of students with significant disabilities. And this is something they pointed out that I think we should really think about. For students who have visual impairments or cortical visual impairment, make sure the meaning is in the words and not in the graphics, because look at the picture here. It says, my baby sister liked him right away when he gets the new puppy. This is really cute, and this is one of the little critter books, and I'm sure lots of your students love these books. And one of the reasons they love them is that the pictures and the text are often so at odds. So he's talking about how his baby sister liked the new puppy, and she's clearly terrified of this new puppy. And so it's a very humorous picture text mismatch, but it might not be as great if your students aren't able to see those small features such as her facial expressions. Supporting receptive language is a great purpose for shared reading, it helps our students grow their vocabulary. It's a key issue for students who are not speaking and not reading independently because they're at high risk for having more limited vocabularies, because one of the ways that students grow their vocabulary is through independent reading. And so we need to be reading some books that help be a bit above where they currently are and introduce some new words. So this is just a great example. They roared their terrible roars. They gnashed their terrible teeth. The word gnashed may be something new. And so you're going to stop and talk about it. You're going to make it explicit. When you come across a word you think they don't know, you're going to talk about it. You're going to demonstrate it. You're going to gnash your teeth for them. You're going to show that picture where it looks like the monster gnashing his terrible teeth. So you're going to have a lot of fun with it, but you're going to have this be a little not just incidental learning, it's going to be explicit incidental learning. So we're combining direct instruction with incidental learning. We're really pointing it out and making a big deal about it. We're supporting receptive language when we support the understanding of core words. It's really helpful for our students who use AAC. So you have those context and the graphics plus the text can provide support. So there's there were a ton of books on prepositions, but I really particularly liked this one by obviously someone who's a speech language pathologist, because she chose pictures that are really fun and engaging. So the dog is over the fence, the pig is in the middle of the road. So just really fun. So we can be working on some of those words over and in, etc. So great receptive language support, because now you get that visual picture of what it means to be in. And there she has multiple versions of in. She has in a box, in the middle, etc. And she has multiple exemplars for everything. Supporting receptive language, also our phonological development, having fun with sounds. We've been talking about that a lot in this series. Again, you need to be explicit, pointing out the rhymes by sound and by word, like the yacht in the pot. Oh, I love it. Did you hear those? Yacht, pot, pot, yacht. Did you hear how they sound? And then I'm going to physically point them on the page. Yacht, pot. I'm going to point to those words and I'm going to show them that they look similar as well. So we're just supporting that. We're not spending a ton of time about it. We're just doing that occasionally, having fun with it. Now we're getting to the crux of it, the expressive language. We're connecting to that child's life. They're eating pizza in this book. You like that. So I'm modeling the word like. So everything in caps are the words that I'm modeling. Ooh, he's going to the zoo. We went there. You looked at the jaguar so much. It's just an ideal time to model using the AAC system, and you can look ahead and cheat a bit. So you can read the books, and you might even highlight some of the words that you want to model, or just make yourself a little list and make sure you know where those really important core words are. I'm not talking about going for fringed words. We're not looking for gnashed. We're looking for hit the high spots, right? This is some information that Dr. Sam Sennett shared. He's doing some really great stuff with shared reading, including students with Angelman. And he is talking about modeler for reading and talking. It's doing in a preliminary study. They asked the question, what is the impact of modeler for read and talk on both communication partner performance and student communication turns during shared storybook reading? So they're trying to get the partner to do a better job of modeling and expanding, etc. And they're trying to get the student to use their communication device and their speech and their nonverbal communication more. And so this is what it looks like in their model. You're modeling using AAC, and you're encouraging that student by providing some wait time. We've talked about pause a lot in this series. Then you're responding by repeating part of what this child said and expanding on it with our AAC modeling. And we're going to be, when we're reading, we're talking, we're commenting, we're questioning, we're doing what's called dialogic reading. And notice that he is sharing some of the research that supports this, things like recasting. Well, Nelson and colleagues have studied doing recasting where we're responding. If the child says like, then I'm saying, yes, you like it. If the child says look, you're like, that's right, they're looking at me, or they're looking at you. So we're modeling and we're expanding a little bit. Sam Sennett has done a meta-analysis on this, and we know that there's been a lot of research over decades and decades on the time delay piece. So this is the basic overview and framework for using that model. And now you see where the ER comes: model, encourage, respond. So let me just point out that the ER part, the encouraging respond, is using Aaron Sheldon's framework, is for our students who are already beginning to use their devices to say a word. Then we're going to expand those and model new functions, new purposes, etc. For students who are more independent, we're giving and taking conversation, we're giving them some time, and we're really doing a lot more sophisticated models, and we're also expanding in a more sophisticated way. Remember that some of our students may not be using their devices at all, and that's okay. We're still doing that model and reflect part during the interaction. So just a picture of this and a reminder to go to the sharedreading.com website for more ideas, and I'm going to show more information across time. So this is an example of something you could download from the Shared Reading project. It's a 60 location overlay for Frozen, and what you're going to see is that these words, these core words, are going to stay the same across all of the stories. But over here you see that we've got characters, we've got some key verbs that we might need, we've got one key noun here, a couple of nouns, glove and summer. We've got the describing word cold and a couple of repeated phrases from that book. If you go to the next one, this is the Gruffalo, just a delightful, delightful book. And again, you're going to see the same core words over here. They're not changing, but you've changed this section. Now we've got some nouns that are the characters in our story. We've got the word terrible. Oh, good, there's terrible that we have also from the Wild Things. And we've got big and little, and then you can go to your keyboard, of course. So just a really fun way to incorporate core language and also have the language from the story. Modeling during shared reading. You've seen this before. In fact, you've seen this a number of times when we were just talking about modeling core language in general, that we want this to be a conversation, not an interrogation. We want to always invite the students to respond. We're going to use that expectant pause as one major way to invite the students to respond. And remember, we might count to 5 or we might count all the way to 25. You're going to use what's appropriate for this particular student. We'll accept all multimodal responses. So if your child looks, if they eye point, if they giggle, these are multimodal responses that tell us that they're engaging and allow us to then reflect that response with using the AAC system. So attributing meaning to all multimodal responses. So the child smiles or looks or touches or shakes their head or laughs, then we make a response. On the other hand, if the child hits a symbol such as not, then we're going to try to make meaning out of that symbol on that page. We're going to attribute meaning for how that relates to this particular book. This is a natural thing that we do to children without disabilities. It teaches them to be less random. So if they're eye pointing, we're saying, oh, I saw you looking at where. Let's go see where they're going. And I hit where on the communication device, and then we turn the page to go see where they're going. If the student is giggling, I say, oh, I think you like that. So I'm reflecting back. I heard you laugh. I think you like that. So first I'm telling them what it is that I heard and how that's making me respond and reflect back. One of the nice things about this is it sends a message of confidence and high expectations, and that has been sadly lacking for some of our students, and it's really important because they do have a lot of confidence that we're not always seeing, and we need to have high expectations so that they'll be able to start showing what they know. Sample goals for shared reading. Now, this is from the Center for Literacy and Disability Studies, and I've just taken them one at a time so I can give examples. During shared reading, the student will use a communication system to make 4 or more requests or protests with such and such response level of prompt. So that might be with me using a flashlight or laser light on the device to say, hey, remember, use your device. It might be something as subtle as that. It might be that I'm going to get them to the right page on their or screen on their communication device. So if I want them to make a request, I might say, ooh, we could ask a question, and I'm going to open up the question box on that particular device or app. So some sample core language for requesting. Let me, want that, turn it, go, help me. And remember that some of these, like let me, means turn the page. It might be let me activate that button if you're using an iPad, a book on an iPad that has some interactions. Maybe they want to touch that picture, etc. Some core language for protesting. Stop it. Stop that. Not want different. All those types of things are the kinds of things we could be modeling for that particular purpose. So the monster at the end of this book is just like a quintessential book to try that, to invite them to respond, to give that expectant pause, accept those multimodal responses, and reflect. So you're reading the monster at the end of the book. At the end of a page, you say, what should we do? And do you hear the way I'm asking the question? I'm not putting pressure on the child. I'm making them be part of a team with me that we're going to trick Grover together. We're in this together. What should we do? And you can see that I'm modeling what and do. And then there's an expectant pause. And then I gesture to the device, or maybe I have a laser light that I'm putting over the device to invite them to go, you might want to use your device now. Another expectant pause. The student looks at the page in the book, and I say, ooh, you're looking at the corner. I'm accepting their multimodal. And then I say, I think you're saying go, or I think you're saying get more, or I think you're saying turn it. So you can see all the types of words we could be modeling, but just from the child looking at the page, and we're saying, ooh, you're looking at the corner. I point to the corner of the page where I'm going to turn it, and then I model the particular language, okay? So it's not rocket science. It's really easy. Just jump in. It gets easier and easier. So what we're going to do here is we're going to try it. So we're going to invite the student to respond. So at this point, I want you to type how you would invite that child to respond to this. We're reading the book, Smelling a Sock. You're reading That's Disgusting, and we got to the page, Smelling a Sock. How would we invite them to respond? This is where you're supposed to be typing into the chat window. So Amy, you see any responses?
Yep, they are rolling in.
Oh, good.
One
I can't see.
No, you can't. One is, how does yours smell, or how does mine smell?
Oh, great.
How do you think that smells?
Uh-huh.
Hey, here's my sock.
Oh, fun. I'm using a little object there.
And let's smell it.
Oh, that's really good. These are great. Exactly. That's how we're inviting. And when we're asking that, oh, how does that smell? We're asking in a way that shows that it's our tone of voice shows that we're not testing. We're with you. We're doing this together. Those are perfect. Okay, expected pauses. Count to 5 or 25. What I want you to do is write down your tips for making it feel expected to your child. So it's not just like that. So students who have Angelman syndrome, students with autism, students with Rett syndrome share something, many of them, which is apraxia. And so when we put them on the spot and demand something, it's harder than it was before we made that request for them. And so when we just say, how do you think it smells? Pause. that is not making it feel expectant. So the first thing I've talked about is your tone of voice. But what else can you do with your body language, etc., to make it feel expectant? And the line means I'm hoping you'll type some ideas.
Okay. Let's see. They're rolling in. I have to keep scrolling. Have a very expectant look on your face.
Absolutely.
Move closer, turn towards them, move a little closer.
Yep.
Um,
Yep.
make your eyes wide, look back and forth from the book to the child. Make eye
Oh, these are
contact.
completely on target. This is absolutely exactly what I would have said. So this is that we're going to, Amy, if we can capture this chat window, if you can just cut and paste and send it to me, I'll do a post about that. Because this is exactly what we need to do. And a lot of people just are born knowing how to do that, but a lot of people aren't. I mean, it's not something that is it's not in everybody's DNA to just be expectant. So these tips really, really help. The next topic is accepting the multimodal response. The student laughs at that sock, smelling a sock, and I'm like, ew! I'm making it. I'm holding my nose and acting like it's really disgusting. They laugh. How do I let them know that I heard that initiation? What am I going to say to give them feedback to say that I get it?
Um, restate it. Say, yes, that was funny. Um, expand on it or comment on it. Oh, you think it's gross too, or I think so too.
Right. And so I even might be more explicit for beginners. You're going to decide whether your child needs to be explicit or not. Particularly if I'm a teacher working with a child I don't know so well, I might even say, oh, you're laughing. You think it's funny too. So I'm going to say, you're laughing. You think it's funny. If you're a family member and you've already got that shorthand going that they, well, duh, of course I'm laughing. I think it's funny. I think it's just important if we're working with students we don't know as well to be a little more explicit. So those are great. And then finally, what's the response? They've laughed, and how might I reflect that? But I'm particularly concerned here about the student who's not using their device, how we've modeled, and then we're going to reflect what they said. So they laughed, and what words are we going to use on the device to show that we think, maybe you're saying that type of thing. I think you're saying blank. So fill that in.
A model where laugh and funny are. Model
We
me
can
and
definitely do that, but I'm actually talking about going to the next step and modeling, that, oh, you're telling me that's silly type of thing. Oh, that's gross. So I think you guys are totally getting this. Let's move to the next one. The next goal is during shared reading, the student will use their communication system to ask a question with whatever prompting on 3 of 5 days. So sample questions: who that, who is that, who is he, who is she, where go, where did she go, what is that, what is it. So all the who, what, where, and when will all be shared in this top 40. But wait, remember how we said we want to do a conversation, not an interrogation? So we're going to do things like, look, where did he go? Or what did he do? Let's find out. So we're not quizzing the child. We're asking this as a team. This is sort of, we're asking something that we're going to find the answer to together. Do you see the difference between doing that and just asking a specific quiz questions? We are teaching, not testing. We're going to accept all those multimodal responses. The student looks at this really disgusting critter and we say, you're looking at this, and you point to the lizard or the snake, etc. And then we reflect that response. Are you asking, what is that? So let's try one. I've got a book, that book called That's Yucky in the Desert. Again, it's a conversation, not an interrogation. So how might we use this a question word, who, what, when, or where, in the conversational way in response to, did you know that regal horned lizards, those prickly, pudgy, prehistoric looking reptiles, squirt blood out of their eyes? Ew, that's yucky. So what's a question we might model?
Why does he do that?
Oh, that's a great one. Why?
Does it hurt him?
Oh, good one.
Or would you want,
Where is it? Where is it? There's the blood would be another one. Go ahead.
and would you want to see that?
Oh, would you want to see that? Oh, do you like that? Yeah, those are great. And then they look at the disgusting critter, and we might say something like, ooh, I see you looking. And now we're going to reflect. They've looked at that really gross, the lizard with the blood squirting out of his eyes, and what might we model? Are you asking,
Why that is happening?
oh, ooh, why is that? That's right. And look at those, why is that? And then you just say the word happening. Those are really powerful. And happily, on the next page, it does explain why. So it's very scientific. It's lovely.
And how does he do that?
Oh, how does he do that? Right. Perfect. Perfect. These are great. So sample goals for shared reading. I've adapted just a little bit that they're going to use a communication system to make comments with whatever prompt. Things like it, not good, that not good. But we also, this is where we might go to some of your chat messages or your opinions or your interjections based on the various apps you're using or devices you're using. So things like gross, yuck, disgusting, or cool, awesome, epic. And we've discussed earlier that this is nice to let the friends, to let peers help populate those pages, because peers are really good at coming up with what's current, because apparently awesome, not so much. Epic was very hot a couple of years ago, may not be as much. It's also very much around the country, people say different things. So in the New England area, they say wicked a lot. And that's just not something kids in the Southwest say. So that's another good reason for getting the kids to help you out with this. So let's try that. Let's do some comments here. So we've modeled eating soap from the book That's Disgusting, and we've modeled that is not good. And then I invite them to respond by, waiting and pausing, all those kinds of things we've done before. We're accepting their multimodal responses. They make a face. And so I'm going to let them know by hearing that I heard it by saying something like, ooh, I don't think you like that. You're making a face. So we're going to be very explicit. You're making a face, and that's where we're saying you do not like that. So that's how we get very explicit. So other kinds of books that you might be looking at are books that relate to informational text. This is very important right now. If your students are third grade and above, they're going to be asked to read more and more informational text. This is what we're seeing, a big shift toward informational text as students get older. And so when we're reading books such as these are the Ohm books, they have little critter books, but they also have books like Penguin's Family, Polar Bear Horizon, etc. And you can just start reading and then pause to ask the questions. And so when I've done this, Evelyn has gone to her question page, and whatever question she asks, I have to try to find the answer in that book. Or if we don't find it by the end of the book, so if she asks who, then I model a who question. So if she asks who, I'm saying, oh, are you asking about, you're looking at the baby. Are you asking me who is that baby? Let's read to see if he has a name. So we're going to just try to find that within the book. And if we don't have a name for that baby by the end of the book, then she and I can name the baby together. If she's asking where, then I can say, I think you might be asking, where do they live? And I'm modeling that on her device. And let's keep reading. Maybe they'll tell us. If they don't, we're going to look it up. So just a great way for kids to turn the tables on us. Instead of us be the ones asking the questions, they get to be the ones asking the question, and we have to help them find the answers, which is also helping them with learning how to deal with informational text. So just a really fun kind of thing. So let's try this with commenting, requesting, or commenting, request for test, or question. So for the comment, first of all, the page says, for more than a month, the penguin and his partner have cared for this egg. They have taken their turn sitting on the egg to keep it warm. What comment might you model?
That is good. That is nice. Um, they share taking care of the egg. That's cool. She is good to it.
Oh, that's nice. Now that was a lovely example. Remember that she is good to it and they share. Keep those in mind in a minute when we come to the last little section, because you just did some great story retelling. Another type of commenting is that you can go with, oh, epic, or just cool. You can just go to those one-word comments on like Sadie, I know, has wonderful opinions pages that she really uses quite well. And so Sadie could go to one of her opinion pages. Another comment might be text to self, to say, ooh, you like penguins, and then text to world, because we're going to talk about how you love the Penguins of Madagascar movie, and these are penguins just like that movie. Okay, requesting or protesting, how can we model a request or a protest for our students based on this page?
Tell me more.
Oh, good one.
Turn the page. Another one is, where's the egg? I want eggs for lunch.
Oh, fun. Oh, see, there's that text world things like I want that for lunch. I want that egg. Oh, that's really funny. Okay. And then a question. I've already heard some questions in there, so let's go on. So remember, one of you talked about they share it. Another one talked about she is good to it, using lots of high-frequency core words. So let's use 2 to 4 words to summarize the text. So on this is kind of an advanced activity. I wouldn't be doing this for kids who are just beginners. This is for kids who are at that stage 3 where they're beginning to do a lot more language and you want to be able to model a lot more words, okay? So if you have kids who aren't using the devices much at all, then you're doing modeling, reflecting. If you have kids who are occasionally doing the single words, you're doing modeling. You're doing the model-er approach, model, respond, expand. If you're having kids at stage 3, you're still doing model, respond, expand, but you're also occasionally doing this, where we're going to use core vocabulary to summarize this text. So I want you to summarize, and I only use high frequency words. In fact, let's try to use some of those first 40 words that we've been talking about. So, you know, I, he, she, it, want, you, they, get, go, not, make, do, those types of words, okay? So, and you've got, let's see, help, more, those are some of the words. Okay, her name was Rapunzel, and along with her beauty, she'd grown long, long hair. When the enchantress yelled out her name so loud, she would also call for her hair. Rapunzel, Rapunzel, let down your hair so I may climb to you way up there. So how would you summarize that using core vocabulary?
Okay. She has more hair. She is good.
Oh,
Give me
uh-huh.
give me your hair. Help me up.
Help me up. Okay, and so hair may be a word that some of your students wouldn't have seen yet. It's okay to model occasional fringe words, but you don't have to. Help me up is all those three are very high frequency, or I go up, I want up. Those are all really good. This is great, guys. Here's the next page where we bring the prince in. And he heard the words, and he watched as the princess threw down her braids and thought about how he could save her. So let's do this in a 2-word, 3-word, or 4 words, high frequency words.
The boy wants to help.
Right, and instead of the boy, we could just say he, right, to keep it high frequency. Perfect. He wants help.
Go help.
Go help. Perfect.
He sees it.
These are great. Okay, you guys totally are rocking it, so let's move on. Oh, now we get to see the results of the research that I had posited that question about will the caregivers and the students benefit from learning strategies for doing modeler, where we model, we respond, we expand. And so look at the performance gains from the educational systems. They got way better in their AAC models. They encouraged the steps. And they responded to the steps. So remember the modeling and then the modeler, model, expand, respond. They did a great job on all 3 areas. They gained significantly on all 3 areas, which is very exciting to see that that we can have in all areas. Now let's look at the child gains, and you can see really highly significant, very powerful results in communication terms and some good gains in AAC and in speech. I love this graphic. It makes it all so clear. So again, there's that shared reading project. If you're interested in it, please go to that on your computer, your iPad, your iPhone, etc. Nice stuff. Okay, so remember, you're going to have fun. So here's Tommy's Day at the Dog Park. I promised if there was time that we would read it, and there is time, so we're going to go find Tommy. Now, I'm going to give you, notice that Tommy is this is a C book. So it has a line that some of you might find not necessarily offensive, but it might just be a little old for your students. So what I'm going to have you do at the end is tell me, keep the line for my students, or I would have to lose that line. You could just, it's a PowerPoint, and so you could save it without the line. Well, let's just read the book and then you'll see. So we've got Tommy's Day at the Dog Park. We're going to the dog park. I am excited. Open the door. We're here. Good smells. You look like me. Ooh, I love that page. All 4 are high frequency words, top 40. Can I smell your butt? Okay, there's the C one. But look how fun. I want you to think about adults who have had people reading Barney books to them and just things that are wretchedly boring and age inappropriate. And think about them reading this, a teenager reading this with another teenager, and they're just cracking up together. So they're having a lot of fun together. Let's go, bad boy. Yikes, you're big. What are you doing? Is that nice question? You're scary. Repeated repetition with repeated line. Can I smell your butt? Let's go. I'm tired. I need a drink. These are things that are great for having words on the device that students would really need, really power words. Stop! Don't go there. So hysterical, but also high frequency words. Stop, don't, go, there. Super high frequency, but just used in a really funny context. Can I smell your butt? It's time to go. I'm tired. I need to sleep. The end. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is have you tell me who would be able to use this one as is. You have at least one student who would love it just like it is. And then also type in if you would need to use the G-rated version.
The comments we have so far are that they love the book, they would use it as is. There's one that says G-rated, another one that says both, and some more that are saying they would like it as is, and that even the young ones would still get a kick out of Smell Your Butt.
And so the deal is it's a PowerPoint. So I am going to post it at the Facebook group, and then you can download it. And what you can actually, I'll post it in two versions. I'll post it in G-rated and PG, because that way you can just use it and you won't have to deal with trying to save as and figure out how to do that. So I'm going to post it in both ways. Now I'm showing you how to go to Tarhill Reader and do C for caution and do a search. And I'm going to look at wheeling, and you're going to see that, again, this is not really offensive, but wheeling by read a book, wheeling speed, wheeling read. Uh-oh, I think wheeling peed, right? And this is not only adult humor. I mean, first graders would get a huge kick out of this. Wheeling swing, wheeling king. What a wheeling ding-a-ling. Wheeling tennis, wheeling Venice. Watch out for the wheeling menace. Wheeling fight, wheeling kite, wheeling absolute delight. Wheeling goat, wheeling boat, wheeling past the castle moat, wheeling prayer, wheeling stare. Look out, it's a wheeling scare. Wheeling shop, wheeling stop. Do you think of wheeling pop? Wheeling dance, wheeling pants. What amazing wheeling balance. Wheeling flowers. Showers. Superpowers. Hoops. Scoops. Maybe wheeling pumpkin poops. Wheeling here, wheeling there, wheeling almost everywhere. Who would dare, being fair, to think we're confined to a wheelchair? We're going to rate that book. Write down how many stars we should give it.
Some say 3, some say 10.
Yes, exactly. That is a 3-star book. So that's from Tarhill Reader. And I don't know if any of you are working with students in wheelchairs, but certainly your students see other students who are in wheelchairs. So that's very powerful and very important. So just really fun stuff. Please, please, please have fun with shared reading. It's okay to have fun, right? I think so often we just get, so often we get, no, my screen has suddenly gone crazy. Okay. So often we get a little carried away and we think everything has to just be so intense, but it doesn't. It can be really fun. So let's get back to the slideshow. And I'm going to end the presentation with this Pinterest quote that I adore so much. Life is short, and in the end, it's not about who has the nicest, untouched, most perfect books, but who has explored the most, enjoyed the most, and learned the most and advanced in emergent literacy by Edito's mom, Isobel. And this is based on the fact that he was really tough on books. Edito was really tough on books and chewed them and everything, and she was kind of trying to keep them away from him. And then when she went to be with her father's like, nope, he's my grandson. He can play with any book he wants. And they sat down and did a lot of shared reading, and he just got way better at enjoying books and got lots more book and just a love of books, and also stopped destroying books as much. So anyway, fun quote. So your possible next steps: pick a book and just jump in and try it. Remember a couple of things: model, expand, respond. Remember that that whole conversation, and we're doing inviting kids, we're having expectant pauses, etc. You're going to go to the shared reading project. Please, if you're a parent, share this link with your school. Send this in because this is something your school could really enjoy. If you're a teacher, don't forget to share this with families. If one family watches it, it can make an enormous difference for that child's life. Read the Facebook posts. Upload your books, upload videos. We love a couple of 30-second videos of your child doing shared reading. It would be really great for us. And then plan to attend and view the next webinar. So we're going to have questions, but before we do, I would like to just say a really extremely heartfelt thank you to the Angelman Syndrome Foundation for making this available and by getting a generous grant from the Foster Family Charitable Foundation. They're a family foundation established in Central California, and we're really grateful to both organizations because this has been fantastic. And so think of sharing your books, your videos, etc., so that when they do a year-end report, they can say, these are the people who watched this webinar, these are the people who responded. That's the type of thing that helps the Angelman Foundation get more funding if they see that this makes a difference. So thank you so much. And now it's time for your questions.
As questions are coming in, Caroline, I'll just share with you a couple comments that came in back towards the beginning.
Okay.
A couple are just suggestions for other people. Someone said that they love the Froggy books for older kids. Froggy gets dressed, Froggy goes to school.
I love that series. Fabulous series.
Marianne said that she's made preposition books using pictures of students and clients in the pictures and using different prepositions. So for example, Max is under the table.
Fun. And I think any books we make with our students outshine anything else. They rock, and prepositions are super fun.
And then one other suggestion that I thought was fun is Kim likes to make movie adaptations. So just a simple story retelling of a popular movie.
Oh, wonderful. And think about how invested our kids can get in movies. I mentioned Penguins of Madagascar. Think of Frozen. Oh my gosh. Kids can get so engaged in those videos. So if we can make our own book adaptations, it's great. Because I have to say, most of the time when I go to the store to buy a book about that movie, oh my gosh, really? The movie is at a particular level, and the text level is a terrible mismatch. It makes my eyes cross to read most of those books. So I think doing your own adaptation is a great idea. Another thing you might do is to go buy one of those books that you can buy at the grocery store about, whatever the current movie your children love is, and then just cover up the text with paper and rewrite the text so that it's more that's a better language match for your students, or let them rewrite it with you. Really fun. Okay, what are some questions?
We still don't have any questions. Let's see. Another comment. Pictello is an app that's easy. You can make books easily with that and add pictures and videos.
We adore Pictello. Really, really, really love Pictello. It rocks.
Okay, so we do have one question.
Okay.
What are strong goal areas to move beyond questions, requesting, commenting, using core words?
So if your students are already doing that well, you could even have them be, with the first thing I would do before I move beyond that would be to have them become more sophisticated in those goals. So in other words, if they're asking a question in a very simple format like who, that they're going to become a little more sophisticated. They're going to expand in terms of the number of words they're using. So that would be the first place I'd look. And then next place I'd look would be that the student starts doing some summarizing of text using their communication device, because that requires you to start thinking about where language is on your device. But I would stick with those 3 goals first until you've kind of upped the ante on those, because those are going to transfer really well to asking questions about other things. So those are highly generalizable to other kinds of conversations.